So I'm going to do a quick video about using graphite and charcoal on jelly plates, which are these little thingies. It's jelly. Some tips for doing graphite transfer, which is one of the first things I'm going to show, is a clean plate is the best. And what I usually do is after cleaning it with soap water, oil, soap water, I'll leave it on a clean piece of paper to dry. And what that does is it soaks up all the excess moisture and it kind of preserves this kind of tacky, you want a little bit of a tack to it because you're not really transferring the entire drawing so much as you're transferring the particles that haven't been caught by the paper to the plate. So you want as much stickiness as you can. I kind of skipped one stage because I didn't want to bother with it, because I'm kind of focusing on specifically graphite powder for this one, but I have like an image prepared, and this is just, usually I would transfer this to a plate and print it, but I'm saving myself a step because I'm just doing a demo. But I will show a little bit of quick transfer just for giggles. If I can actually find my stuff in my chaotic crap. Okay, so like I said, graphite, charcoal, Conte, watercolor pencils, color pencils depending on the brand, water soluble pencils, like anything that is, honestly, almost anything can be transferred as long as you have enough of a tacky plate and you treat it gently in the printing process. But I'm just going to do some quick lines here with some boop, 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 boop. This one's pastel, this one's compressed. Throw some pencil in there just in case. Where's some pencil? There's some pencil. There we go. And just for craps and giggles, we'll just random lines. I don't care. I'm not really. Yeah, we'll see. Just for texture, I don't care. Let's see how that works, because we'll just say that. But, I mean, basic graphite charcoal transfer, sticky fresh plate, line it up however you want it, and just do an even rub. Now, with graphite pencils, color pencils, that kind of stuff, usually what happens is, a good rule of thumb is, if you can see the embossment of your print or the embossment of your image through the paper as you're rubbing it, it means you did a pretty good job and it's probably transferring pretty well. And since it's kind of, a thirsty plate touching dry pigment and medium, it probably needs a little bit of rubbing. It just needs to settle in a little bit, kind of get its bearings. And let's see if it worked. Huzzah! See? Boop, boop, boop. See? So there we got that. Now, it's tacky on the plate, but depending on how much is there and how tacky your plate is, it can also be very vulnerable at this point. So I usually try to do as little painting on top of this until I actually get an even coating of acrylic. But yeah, so to do that, instead of just blobbing some ink on here and then, rolling it out, I'm going to roll it up first and transfer it. And because this is like the first layer and I kind of want to maybe work into the print later, I'm going to be using a little bit of clear gesso, which is just basically, it's medium, but with grit to it, so that when I print the layer, I have some grit, kind of like the original paper. Because, you know, if anyone who's tried to draw on top of a thick layer of acrylic, smooth layer of acrylic with a dry pencil or dry chalk, it's a pain in the ass. But yeah. So what we'll do is, right. So what we're doing is we're also experimenting with graphite powder, which means we're going to mix some of this into it as well. And I'm going to mix this all on a palette first so that I'm not having to push it around too much on the plate. Boop, 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 boop. We don't really need that much. And then let's see. We will do, what color shall we do? You know what? Screw it. Tried and true Indian yellow. Do a little bit of that. Again, not much because it's not going to do much, but anyways. Then we're going to grab a brush. I'm just going to do a little bit of graphite powder. Just a little bit. I don't need that much, honestly. I don't think I do. And we'll also play a little bit with the plate and just kind of, for shits and giggles. There we go. Just for funsies. Anywho, on that note, I need to get a wet brush. Where did my stuff go? Hold on, there we go. Oh. Fine stop. Okay. So, got some graphite powder, got some acrylic, and I'm, I think, ready to go. Okay. I'm gonna grab a brush for mixing. No, it's gonna be crap. That's not gonna be good. There we go. Here we go. So I'm just gonna brush up a little bit. Graphite's giving it a green tinge, which I'm not a huge fan of necessarily, but whatever. Right now I'm just mixing it. It looks creamy and whatnot because I'm trying to get a decent thing here. I might add a little bit more graphite just to kind of play with it, but I'm using golden open acrylics for the paint part because it extends the drying time of my paint. My gesso medium is regular drying acrylic time, so mixing in that open acrylic gives me a little bit more working time for this. Yeah, that's better. I can probably get a little bit more of this stuff. Okay. Going to apply a little bit here for the printmaking well for now, and then move this out of the way. Move this out of the way for now. I gotta grab the one, don't judge me. I'm bad at cleaning my brayers. It's fine. Nobody is perfect. Perfect. Now, I am adding more since this is more of a well than it actually is the printing surface, and that's going to pick up a lot of those paint too. But let's see. I'm just going to do one plate at a time. Now, when you're using graphite powder like that, you're going to pick up some of it because it's not like a single layered surface, but you're going to be fine. You'll be fine. Yeah. A little bit. At this point, I have a decent even coating that's for the most part protecting this film. Yeah. So now I do actually, because at this point the acrylic, the first layer of acrylic kind of gives structure and body to the dry medium I'm using on the plate. So now I can actually be a little bit more aggressive. I don't even actually have to use that plate if I wanted to, but. And then for a little bit more yellow. So here, here. I tend to overprint a little bit, especially if I'm just using 1 or 2 layers at a time. Plus, I'm also using a water-soluble pencils, which means that they're going to bleed a little bit if I have more liquid ink on this. Okay. Let's see. Just getting rid of excess powder on the side there. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. See if I can do this without getting my ass really dirty doing it. Or at least to the back of the paper, not getting really wet and dirty. So. Let's see. First plate. Here. I'm totally gonna mess up the registration. I know I am. I apologize in advance. But if we do it properly, and just kind of squeeze that in there. See if I can do this without messing it up. I swear I can do it. I swear I can do it. I swear. I swear. Would ya? There we go. I'm just doing the palm of my hand for even pressure. If I was just doing, like if I wasn't doing the graphite layer, I might actually be doing it the other side up, because that way I can see how the pressure is affecting the bleeding of the line that I drew on the printing paper. But for this, I'm just kind of testing, so. And I didn't use as much open acrylic medium for bleeding, so. Let's see. Okay, so we still have enough on here that we can make a ghost print, but yeah, that's how graphite powder mixed in with acrylic ink works, how it looks like if you dab it in and stuff. A little brush demo. I'll post an image of it later, just to show how it works, but anywho, have a good day.